Well, guys, this morning we're really excited because we're going to celebrate our children in the Christmas story, and so one of the things we want you to do is we're going to have some kids that are going to come up and they're going to sing for us, and they're going to be smiling. I want you to look at them because they don't just represent the kids that are here, but they represent the community that we're reaching out to. They represent the world of kids, the world of people who need that hope that we have brought to this place. And I want you to think about, you will not get to see the 7 little kids that we're giving Christmas to as a church, but you can see the representation of them in these kids that are going to have a Christmas because this congregation said they're going to have a Christmas. And so if you have not had an opportunity to give to that and you would like to, or if you brought cards, I've had people mob me with gift cards this morning, you can either hand that to me or there's a basket out in the entryway on the floor just to the left of the exit doors, and you can drop that. But this morning is all about celebrating what Christ has done for us and celebrating the joy that gives us, and we get to see that lived out in our kids this morning. And so I believe I'm turning it over to Miss Renee at this point in time.
North Crossings children present an adaptation of The Crippled Lamb by Max Lucado. Once upon a time, in a sunny valley, there lived a little lamb named Julia. She was white with black spots, black feet, and sad eyes. Julia felt sad when she saw the other lambs with snow-white wool and no spots. She felt sad when she saw the other sheep with their moms and dads because she didn't have a mom or dad. But she felt saddest when she saw the other lambs running and jumping because she couldn't. Julia had been born with one leg that didn't work quite right. She was crippled. She always limped when she walked. That's why she could only watch while the other lambs ran and played. Julia felt sad and alone, except when Adrian was around. Adrian was Julia's best friend. He didn't look like a friend for a lamb. He was a cow. He was brown with white blotches that looked like rain puddles on a path. His belly was as round as a barrel, and his voice was always kind and friendly. Some of Julia's favorite hours were spent with Adrian. Julia liked to listen to Adrian tell stories. Oh, they loved to pretend they were on adventures in different lands. Julian would imagine soaring on a magic carpet over the snowy mountains. Or they would talk about going to an amusement park and taking a fun, exhilarating roller coaster ride with all their friends. Sometimes they would dream of surfing the waves in the wide blue ocean. What fun! And man, what a blast it would have been to be aboard the ark during the great flood with all those different animals. But one of the most exciting pretend adventures they took was when they would battle with lightsabers aboard a space station in front of the intergalactic wizard of Christmas yet to be. They were good friends, but even with a friend like Adrian, Julia still got sad. It made her sad to be the only lamb who could not run and jump and play in the grass. And that's when Adrian would turn to her and say, "Don't be sad, little Julia. God has a special place for those who feel left out." Julia wanted to believe him, but it was hard. Some days she just felt alone. She really felt alone the day the shepherds decided to take the lambs to the next valley where there was more grass to eat. The sheep had been in the valley so long the ground was nearly bare. All the sheep were excited when the shepherds told them they were going to a new meadow. As they prepared to leave, Julia hobbled over and took her place on the edge of the group. But the others started laughing at her. "You're too slow to go all the way to the next valley. Go back, slowpoke. We'll never get there if we have to wait on you. Go back, Julia. You can't keep up with us." And that's when Julia looked up and saw the shepherd standing in front of her. "They are right, my little Julia. You better go back. This trip is too long for you. Go and spend the night in the stable." Julia looked at the man for a long time, and then she turned slowly and began limping away. When Julia got to the top of the hill, she looked down and saw all the other sheep headed toward the green grass. Never before had she felt so left out. A big tear slipped out of her eye, rolled down her nose, and fell on a rock. Just then, she heard Adrian behind her, and Adrian said what he always said when Julia was sad. "Don't be sad, little Julia. God has a special place for those who feel left out." So slowly the two friends turned and walked to the stable together. By the time they got to the little barn, the sun was setting like a big orange ball. Julia and Adrian went inside and began to eat hay out of the feed box. They were very hungry and the hay tasted good. For a little while, Julia forgot that she had been left behind. "Go to sleep, my little friend," Adrian said after they had finished eating. "You've had a hard day." Julia was tired, so she lay down in the corner on some straw and closed her eyes. She felt Adrian lie down beside her, and she was glad to have Adrian as a friend. Soon, Julia was asleep. At first, she slept soundly, curled up against Adrian's back. And in her sleep, she dreamed of running and jumping just like the other sheep. She dreamed of long walks with Adrian through the valley. She dreamed of being in a place where she never felt left out. But suddenly, a strange noise woke her up. "Adrian, wake up! I'm scared!" Adrian lifted his big head and looked around. The stable was brightly lit by some dazzling light coming from the sky. "Somebody is in here," Julia whispered. They looked across the stable, and there, lying on some fresh hay in the feed box, was a baby. A young woman was resting on a big pile of hay beside the feed box. Julia looked at Adrian, thinking her friend could tell her what was going on, but Adrian was just as surprised as Julia. Julia looked again at the woman and the child, and then limped across the stable. She stopped next to the mother and looked into the baby's face. The baby was crying. He was cold. The woman picked up the baby and put him on the hay next to her. Julia looked around the stable for something to keep the baby warm. Usually there were blankets, but not tonight. The shepherds had taken them on their trip across the valley. Then Julia remembered her own soft, warm wool. Timidly, she walked over and curled up close to the baby. "Thank you, little lamb," the baby's mother said softly. Soon the little child stopped crying and went back to sleep. About that time, a man entered the stable carrying some rags. "I'm sorry, Mary," he explained. "This is all the cover I could find." "It's okay. This little lamb has kept the new king warm." A king? Julia looked at the baby and wondered who he might be. "His name is Jesus," Mary spoke as if she knew Julia's question. "God's Son. He came from heaven to teach us about God." Suddenly, there was another noise at the door. It was the shepherds, the ones who had left Julia behind. Their eyes were big and they were excited. "We saw a bright light and heard the angels," they began. And then they saw Julia next to the baby. "Julia, do you know who this baby is?" "She does now." It was the young mother who was speaking. She looked at Julia and smiled. "God has heard your prayers, little lamb. This little baby is the answer." Julia looked down at the baby, and somehow she knew this was a special child, and this was a special moment. She also understood why she had been born with a crippled leg. Had she been like the other sheep, she would have been in the valley. But since she was different, she was in the stable, among the first to welcome Jesus into the world. Julia turned and walked back to Adrian and took her place beside her friend. "You were right," she told him. "God does have a special place for me."
At that time, the Roman Emperor Augustus decreed that a census should be taken throughout the Roman Empire. This was the first census to be taken when Quirinius was governor of Syria. All returned to their own ancestral towns to register for this census, and because Joseph was a descendant of King David, he had to go to Bethlehem in Judea, David's ancient home. He traveled there from the village of Nazareth in Galilee. He took with him Mary, to whom he was engaged, who was now expecting a child. And while they were there, the time came for her baby to be born. She gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him snugly in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no lodging available for them. That night there were shepherds staying in the fields nearby, guarding their flocks of sheep. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared among them, and the radiance of the Lord's glory surrounded them. They were terrified, but the angel reassured them. "Don't be afraid," he said. I bring you good news that will bring great joy to all people. The Savior, yes, the Messiah, the Lord, has been born today in Bethlehem, the city of David. You will recognize him by this sign. You'll find a baby wrapped snugly in strips of cloth, lying in a manger." Suddenly, the angel was joined by a vast host of others, the armies of heaven, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and peace on earth to those with whom God is pleased." When the angels had returned to heaven, the shepherds said to each other, "Let's go to Bethlehem. Let's see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." They hurried to the village and found Mary and Joseph, and there was a baby lying in a manger. After seeing him, the shepherds told everyone what had happened and what the angel had said to them about this child. All who heard the shepherd's story were astonished, but Mary kept all these things in her heart and thought about them often. The shepherds went back to their flocks, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen. It was just as the angel had told them.
I'm going to invite all of our kids up here to see me if they would like to come. Leland, you want to come up here with me and hang out for a minute? Come on, guys. Come on, Drake. Miss Vivian, do you want to come up here with me? No? Okay. Natalie, you want to come up? How about Charlie? No? Okay. Why don't you guys have a seat? First of all, let's give them a hand for their parts in the play. You guys can have a seat. And I want to talk to you all about Christmas. Are you excited that that's coming?
Yeah.
Leland, what do you hope you get for Christmas? What? A Doc McStuffins? Do you like to work on toys? Yeah. Is she better at tearing them apart or put them back together? Tearing them apart? Awesome. You guys can have a seat. You can sit down with me. Jesse, you can sit. So who's out of school right now? You're out of school right now? That's awesome. What, Drake, do you have a Christmas present you're hoping to get? A pretty place to look out? Awesome. Can I have 5? All right, you the man. Miss Natalie, what would you like for Christmas? Mm-hmm. What are you looking forward to most about Christmas? Christmas trees? Yes. It is a pretty star on top of the Christmas tree, isn't it? Yes, ma'am. A starfish? Cool. I want a starfish, Mom. Well, guys, when you think about Christmas, who do you think about? Jesus? They know they're in church. Not Santa. It's okay to think about Santa. Because what does Santa bring? Presents, gifts. Do you know what the first Christmas present was? Gold. What did they bring Jesus?
Myrrh, frankincense, and gold.
Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. That's right. And what's so special about those things?
They're really hard to get at that time.
They are valuable. Do you know what frankincense and myrrh are?
Materials?
No, they're perfumes.
Okay.
They're perfumes. Drake's having a good time this morning, guys. Well, guys, what Christmas, the best gift that was given on Christmas was the gift of peace. Jesus came to give us peace. Yeah, peace on earth. And so all of these things up here are there to tell us about peace. Because when angels showed up, who did they show up to?
Three wise men.
Nope, not the three wise men. Who did they show up to?
The big party.
The shepherds. The shepherds. There were a couple of other people who got to see angels too. Do you know who they were? Mary was one of them. Joseph got a dream.
Yeah.
And what did they say?
I haven't heard that. I don't remember.
They said that Jesus was going to be special and he was going to bring peace on earth. And he was going to bring peace in here, in your heart. Am I boring you, Jesse? No. You can prepare to have kids in the service all you want. And they never do what you think they're going to do. So, all right, let's just do this. Stand up.
Okay.
And stay standing. Can you guys stand up with me? All right. Jesse, what is your favorite Christmas song to sing? Rudolph. All right. You guys got to help me. I sing it wrong every time. I sing it like Frosty the Snowman for some reason. So, Brian, start me out. The red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. But wait! Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you fly my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him, woo-hoo, as they shouted out with glee. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Do you know what my favorite song is, though? No.
You sing it like that?
Let's do Jingle Bells. We'll go with that one. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. All right. No, we're not going to second verse. One more song. And this is my favorite one. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Awesome job, you guys. Thanks so much. All right, I want you to look out here, and I want you to tell them, Merry Christmas. Okay? We'll do it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Merry Christmas. All right, you guys can go sit with your mom and dad and your folks. Can I have 5s on your way out? A high headbutt. All right. Another high headbutt. Whoa, you okay, Leland? Can I have 5? All right. Good job, guys. You got it? All right. One more. Oh, no. Okay. Well, guys, in the Christmas story that Malachi read, it talks about peace on earth and goodwill toward men. And I just kind of want to point out that the peace that is talked about in here, we often get this confused with the same thing that the early Jews got Jesus confused with, that he was going to be a Messiah that brought peace to the world. But Jesus was about bringing peace to the heart, to the soul. That is juxtaposed to a term that was known in that time as the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. Jesus did not come into this world in a royal bassinet. He came in a feed trough. He came in the place where the donkeys were kept. The same kind of donkey that he rode into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. From the very beginning, everything about Jesus was about bringing peace to the heart, peace to the soul. And so this week, as we prepare for Christmas, as we prepare for times with families, and hopefully not families in the hospital, having surgeries for gallbladders, or as was in my text yesterday, fall bladders. But autocorrect gets you every time, right? But as you go, I just encourage you to take that peace in your heart. The songs, Mary and Zechariah were the first 2 people that angels appeared to. And both of them, out of the movement of God in their life, sang joyful songs. To have an angel stand before you brings about total terror and fear. But before they walked away from their encounter with an angel, they had perfect peace inside of them. And so they sing about that. Peace, perfect peace. And so my prayer for you in all of the busyness of Christmas that is to come, because for us, our first Christmas party is at 1 o'clock today. And the 7th one will happen on the day before New Year's. All right? So if your life is as stupid busy as mine can get, sometimes you have to be reminded that joy and peace is what Jesus was about. Don't get caught up in the hustle and the bustle and the giving of presents. Get caught up in giving your presence. Giving your joy, giving your peace, and allowing that to change you from the inside out. This morning still, I encourage you to carry the peace of Christ with you as you go from this place. And that is our children's presentation to you. And thank you for being here. And Brother Kenny is going to come, and he's going to give us a few announcements as we go. There's an old tradition in the church that says, may the peace of Christ be with you. And you would respond with, and also with you. And so may the peace of Christ be with you. God bless. Brother Ken.
Just a few things to kind of share with you and kind of get you updated on a couple of things. But first of all, I think that we'd like to thank Becky and Dana and Renee and the others for getting it ready. Thank you very much. I knew I'd leave somebody out of there, but I didn't have it written down. But all of you that helped with this, thank you very much. This Wednesday night, As announced a while ago, Pastor Ray will be sharing with us this Wednesday night for the adults. The youth will be meeting at Pastor Trey Straney's home and have a youth Christmas party there. Children will be here at the church, and of course the adults here. And there's a note in there for if you have youth age, they need to bring a $5 Secret Santa gift and a 2-liter drink. And that will take care of that. There will be no Wednesday evening service the following week, the 27th. That's the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's. No service. There will be no Sunday school next Sunday morning. We will have our morning worship time here at the church at 10:30 and a time to be together on Christmas Eve. And then our Christmas Eve candlelight service will begin here at 5 o'clock. This has been a tradition here at the church for several years, and it's a wonderful time to come and have communion and a candlelight service here Christmas Eve beginning at 5, and we will be out by about 6 or a little before. So I encourage you to come and be a part of that tradition here at North Crossings Church. Also, too, there's a little note in here that you may not have read, or maybe you just bypassed it altogether. It says, begin to pray how God would have you use your gifts and direct your steps in 2018. If you would like to be used of God here at North Crossings Church or out in the community, but representing North Crossings, please see Pastor Ray or Pastor Trey and let them know what God's calling you to do, and we can find a place for you to fill in a ministry there. Any other announcements this morning? God is good. All the time. Thank you for being here today.